Travis Wayne Goodsell. Looks like it's going to be a couple of weeks before Merrick Garland gets put in. And I have no idea if that's the reasoning for the delay by Judge Tina Campbell, or if she's planning on retiring and she's just letting it ride out to the end like First did. Have no idea. Still nothing. This morning, I'm again frustrated. This is the second week in a row that I missed watching Zoe, the little redheaded girl's show, on Wednesday morning. This time, it took me till Saturday to realize that I'd missed it. So pissed. I have been trying to sneak in season 12 of NCIS. Watch that. And saw the episode of Ducky reuniting with the girl that got away in his life. And at the end, he told her that he had a friend, and of course it's Gibbs, the star of NCIS, who had lost his first wife and daughter as they were assassinated. And he had kept marrying and divorcing over and over again, trying to get his first love back. And of course, Gibbs has always pursues the little redheaded girls. So that's why I like that show, obviously. And so yeah, NCIS brings me to tears when they bring up his daughter and his past life, and any episode that has young girls in trouble and needing help. So yeah, knowing the overall story of Gibbs, started crying on that one. At Rick's College, when I returned from my mission, guys tried to enforce in everybody in our dorm floor that we needed to wait at least a year before jumping into marriage. Because return missionary after return missionary were falling like flies to the ball and chain. And wouldn't have to be a ball and chain if the wife weren't clasping on the chain with the ball on it. If they'd give freedom, there wouldn't be any problems, would there, women? But women think they can fix a man and meet his potential by taking away his agency. And of course, when they're just so cute and they bat their eyes at you, you totally get hypnotized and you end up doing whatever they ask you to. And so, one rainy day, as I'm being reminded of it right now, as it's raining outside and raining this whole morning and last night. Rain always reminds me of Leanne Murdoch, the one I let get away. And then I rebounded with Stephanie. And she took me to Canada, where she's a dual citizen, and had a good life. Was able to be a firefighter, landscaper, got a dual bachelor's with a minor, was able to take that education and decipher Paleo-Hebrew, which led to deciphering Egyptian petroglyphs, which led to understanding how the Bible was written so that I could correct the errors in it. But it cost me the family. While I was going to school, she started hanging out with husband bashers. The leader of the husband bashers just mentally destroyed her husband to the point where he one day made the front page news one morning as he went into the hospital there in Lethbridge. Had a gun to his head and took his life because he couldn't take it anymore. The police just said, well, he's mentally ill, so we're not going to pursue an investigation of the wife. That so sickened me when I heard that, because I saw her abuse to him and to others as she led the women, including my wife, who followed her to destroy each other's marriages. And so yes, I noticed Stephanie changing, being abusive, trying to hurt me, not just emotionally and spiritually, but physically. And then she had gotten an IUD birth control as she justified it, saying that, you know, she needed some time to heal after Clayton. As she was a little red-headed, well, auburn-headed woman herself, I've learned that I can never have my fantasy little red-headed girl, because I'd rip her right open with a baby. So Melissa tore her up, and then Clayton reopened the old wounds and tore her up some more. They kept getting bigger. And so she justified that that's why she needed an IUD. She didn't want to get pregnant anymore for a while. Needed time to heal. But then all of a sudden, she demanded that I come home right after school on Wednesdays. And she would get all dressed up for church and put on the clown makeup. And she didn't come back until late at night. I was taking care of the kids. As the kids were like stressed, where's mommy? What's going on? We don't understand. And I have to just say she'll be back later. Create the new normal. And as she realized that I was waiting up for her, the following weeks got later and later. And then when she allowed me to have sex, she was recommending new sex positions. Yeah, we all know what that means, doesn't it? And so when we moved to Utah after I graduated, she literally plotted to dump me off with my parents in their basement, as my parents deceived me to get us down. They wanted me to be the one to build their basement, as they lied that the house was finished, that we could just move in and raise the family while I pay off the debts of the student loans, both hers and mine. They didn't even have the house ready to move in when we got down here. And so she created a scenario where she made everybody else believe that I was being mean and abusive, when it was her that was mean and abusive. She slammed the door on me, as I had to again calm the kids down. Mommy's just not feeling very good, so let's go for a walk and we'll come back later. And somehow she had money. She really didn't have much of an excuse to how she got the money so that she can move back up to Canada. And she had taken out the IUD before coming down here. And insisted on one more kid before she left. Kind of hurt coming home after all the abuse she'd put me through. And she was prostituting herself for behind my back, thinking I wouldn't catch on. And when she had told me that Emma was born, I tried to do the math in my head and was short a month. And instead of correcting my math, she immediately replied with, "It's your baby. Don't you think you're going to get out of paying for her?" I'm like, okay. That's something that a prostitute, cheating whore of a wife would say. As I came home one day to find a book on Mormon divorces just sitting on the bed. But then to have my family, parents and siblings, siding with the adulteress over their own flesh and blood. To have our bishop side with the adulteress. Where was his spiritual discernment powers as a bishop? I don't think he caught on. I guess he didn't hashtag hear him. As they all blamed me. The bishop even cursed me. Dad kicked me out of the house to the streets. Bishop cursed me on the way out. The police here in Utah, which we all know were Mormon boys, they all laughed and mocked me that I couldn't control my woman. And as it turns out, the laws of the federal government, and thus the state of Utah, don't consider what she did a crime. It's perfectly okay for a spouse to abandon the marriage, flee the country, kidnap the kids, because crime is not a crime when it's the spouse. They have divorce court for that. Well, she didn't use divorce court. She just up and left. But it's not a crime. Even though my life was destroyed. It's not a crime when somebody's life is destroyed, I guess. And then John Penny came down to continue his education at BYU. Told me that Stephanie had gone up and immediately spread the word that I was the villain, I was the bad guy. And that woe was her. Thank God she was able to escape. He didn't tell me the specifics because I didn't ask to find out. And he took me to the movie theaters to watch Con Air. And so now I can no longer watch Con Air without breaking down and crying once Trisha Yearwood's song comes on. Why couldn't you just put down the bunny? And I told John after the movie, now do you see what I'm talking about? And this was before it all happened. Who would have thought Con Air would have been the prophecy to help John understand what I had been through and was going to go through because of what she did. Because actions don't just have consequences. They have rippling effects throughout history. We see that in the world. Middle East is the popular one everybody refers to. As everybody in the Middle East focus on their hatred for everybody else in the immediate time, not caring to go back in time. If they were to go back in time, they'd realize how foolish they are. But yes, what Stephanie did led to my indefinite incarceration. Just filing a petition for redress of grievances because nobody else would allow it. And Mark Shurtleff retaliated. But it's not a crime if it's the Attorney General for Utah who's retaliating. After all, he got away with his lawsuit in which he was charged with corruption of office. So he's innocent, right? Not guilty of a single thing. Those who make the laws think that if somebody can get away with their crime, then there is no crime. And thus they didn't get away with it. Justice prevailed. As the church, as our families, as our governments took care of the life of an adulteress and destroyed my life, who was the victim. And so, here I am, getting shut down on my website because of the church, getting shut down on Amazon because of the church, being shut down on my old YouTube channel because of the church, and being censored, assaulted here on this YouTube channel because of the church. All because I passed on Leanne Murdoch. And in the wrong choice of marrying Stephanie, which, if I had my kids with me, I wouldn't regret it, but I don't even have my kids. And so it's not a regret, it's just like, yeah, I regret Leanne. That was the primary cause. But in so making the wrong choice, which determined where I am now, as the church is closing in, just drooling, waiting for Judge Tina Campbell to dismiss my case so that they can nail my coffin shut, have me assassinated, as they've been attempting to do so, threatening to do so, and attempting. They can finish me off and silence me for good, so that you guys don't find out what I'm trying to present to you. Because of the wrong choice I made in marrying Stephanie and then going and getting a double bachelor's with a minor, and then attending all of Eva Vasilevska's Anthropology of the Ancient Middle East courses at the University of Utah. Didn't graduate on that. That was just a diversionary tactic, as my dad was giving me death threats. And so there have been numerous bombshells, exclusive information that I've been providing you. A whole ton of it that nobody has ever figured out. Nobody even knew to know. And I've been doing it in advance, warning in advance, because the information It even involves national security. Not just about the truth concerning the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I went to the church in 1998. If there are any of those of you who have seen any of those earlier videos, and I said, hey, I just deciphered Paleo-Hebrew and have been doing some checking and on the biblical translation. Joseph Smith is a translator. Isn't that awesome? Church is true. And instead they tried to destroy me back in 1998. I'd just been abandoned, lost all my research, had to redo it all. And it is curious that that is the one thing that when I start getting into, all of a sudden everybody in the world starts closing in on me to shut me down, silence me, censor me, punish me, destroy me, assassinate me. And I've learned superstition is idolatry, and so I don't believe in it. It's false. But when so many coincidences, time after time and time again, lead to the same conclusion, one has to wonder. All because of one rainy evening at dinner time, as I walked across the campus to head to the Man-Wearing Center for dinner, and Leanne Murdoch came up from behind me with an umbrella saying, "You want to share?" I loved walking in the rain. I'm Pisces. But when I saw her, how could I refuse? So, now you know the rest of the story. Now you know and so now you know how evil Mormons are when they attack me on YouTube, putting the thumbs down even, when they don't even bother to listen. When they all cheer when I suffer. When they refuse to believe, let alone listen to the exclusive bombshells I've been putting out from my research into church history, from Paleo-Hebrew to Egyptian translation, to the current crimes of the church. I had notified the court in advance before the 6th, and Tina Campbell was quiet, did nothing, and allowed it to happen. And the coding in the Book of Mormon, coding in the Doctrine and Covenants, coding in the Joseph Smith history. And so, yeah, when I see the video by the church yesterday about the grace of Jesus Christ. Now, I wasn't kidding when I made that video. It's an extortion threat in the church. Because just choosing to marry somebody other than Leanne Murdoch isn't something that should destroy my life. Everybody involved was Mormon. And all of them plotted to destroy my life. Because I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew? Because I showed Joseph as a translator? Do you know how much that would have helped the church? That had been slammed over and over and over again for exposing them as being failed prophets who didn't know how to translate. And here I come, hey, Joseph is a translator. And they want me destroyed? They don't want it to be known that Joseph is a translator? That's messed up. So yeah, I do not have hope for a future. There is no 5-year plan for me. All I see is vultures circling, waiting for the moment to strike. And then to see this morning that YouTube views are tanking again. It's like everybody's given up on me on YouTube. And it may be the YouTube employees who are tampering with my channel on the analytical program. And it may be the coronavirus that I had warned in advance. Warned when it first was reported. Nobody listened. Mormons chose to argue, saying, we're going to follow Nelson. And so Nelson said, hey, get infected, die. Just have faith. Follow me. The sheep are being slaughtered. And there's nothing I can do to stop it, because nobody would listen. Nobody would listen.